Welcome to the module on standards-based grading in elementary art. You may pause this presentation at any time to discuss ideas with your colleagues or to jot notes. Important things to keep in mind with standards-based grading are to focus on student learning according to the SBIs taught, to measure learning across all areas of the curriculum, not just in art production, and to provide a variety of opportunities for students to demonstrate learning. With standards-based grading, we don't compare the performance of one student with that of his or her peers. We evaluate learning based on specific criteria that are linked to indicators in the ART POS. We focus on what students demonstrate they know and can do. We assess all areas of the art curriculum, such as idea development, planning, and responding to art, not just art production. You should allow students a variety of ways to express their learning through independent and collaborative work. Student learning outcomes in each lesson or unit should be based on SBIs in the program of studies. Plan your instruction to teach and assess indicators from across the curriculum in each lesson. Let's take a look at some ways you can assess learning in art. You may gather information during class discussions and then take anecdotal notes or use a checklist to keep track of responses. A sticky note response is a simple strategy for capturing student thinking during critical and aesthetic discussions, and those address Standard 4 respond. Written responses during the reflection process can provide evidence of understanding about artistic choices, process steps, the communication of ideas, and art vocabulary. A task review can be designed to evaluate understanding of subject matter, creative process, art techniques, and critical response. Rubrics can be used to score all areas of learning: the artistic process, media skills and art fundamentals, communication of meaning in artwork, and the ability of the student to make connections between thematic concepts and personal experience. When you set up a gradebook, it should be based on indicators that are taught that address the standards in the POS. It should not be organized by projects. The gradebook may be maintained on spreadsheets in an Excel workbook or maintained in a traditional paper format. As you can see in these two examples, headings represent the 4 strands in the ART POS: communicate, create, respond, and connect. There's space to note the indicator or learning target being scored on a particular date. There are 3 progress report standards for art along with an art effort grade. The chart at the bottom shows how the standards in the elementary art program of studies align with the progress report standards. Art POS Standard 1, Communicate, aligns directly with Progress Report Standard 1. Art POS Standards 2 and 3, which deal with the creation of artworks, align with Progress Report Standard 2. Art POS Standard 4, Respond, and Art POS Standard 5, Connect, align with Progress Report Standard 3, Understanding Art through Art History, Culture, Criticism, and Aesthetics. Scores that are earned throughout a quarter go into consideration when generating grades on the elementary progress report. The box on the left lists some possible ways to score evidence of student learning. On the right is a matrix that describes expectations for earning a 4, 3, 2, or 1 on the progress report. Although sometimes a lesson rubric may contain levels of 4, 3, 2, 1, it does not mean the same thing as it does on the progress report. A lesson rubric score is based on criteria linked to the SBIs that were taught in that lesson. The progress report takes into account the level of achievement demonstrated over time, the amount of support needed for students to understand content, and the frequency of errors in demonstrating understanding. The Elementary Progress Report requires that final grades be assigned in each of the art content standards and for effort. This information is used to generate a transcript for students. Here are some general things to note about assigning final grades. Marks in the final column on the progress report should reflect the student's achievement at the end of the year for that standard. This mark should not be derived from averaging grades throughout the year, but it should reflect the level of knowledge and skills at that point in time. In some cases, the final grade will be the same as the fourth quarter grade. In other cases, a teacher will need to take a more holistic look at the entire year to determine the grades, particularly in Art Program Standard 3, Media Skills and Techniques, which is aligned with Progress Report Standard 2. With respect to media and techniques, the skills taught from quarter to quarter differ greatly, but align to the same progress report standard. Students who are not in Fairfax County Public Schools the full year, or students who have extended absences, may miss instruction on some standards. These students may receive the grade of NT for not taught at the end of the year if they were not present for instruction. Students who receive modified instruction may also have NT or NA as a final grade. Since the instruction for these students is based on student goals, some standards may not be taught. Let's look at an example. When grading the standard engages in the creative process to develop artworks and express meaning, the student has shown improvement throughout the year. She was sometimes demonstrating this skill first and second quarter, but showed improvement the rest of the year and was usually demonstrating the skill during third and fourth quarters. Because she usually demonstrates the skill during the last 2 quarters, her final grade will likely be a 3. In this example, a 5th grade student scores a 4 for quarter 1, a 3 in quarter 2, a 2 in quarter 3, and a 4 in quarter 4 in the Media and Techniques standard. Because a wide variety of media skills and techniques are taught throughout the year, these marks should not be looked at as a trend. Rather, the teacher should take a holistic view of the student's performance. Drawing was the media skill taught in quarter 1. Painting and collage were taught in quarter 2. Ceramics and sculpture were taught in quarter 3. And fiber art and printmaking were taught in quarter 4. In this case, ceramics and sculpture lessons were taught in the 3rd quarter, where the student demonstrated partial understanding even with teacher support, so she earned a 2. During the other 3 quarters, however, she usually demonstrated a general understanding of media techniques in some areas and a thorough understanding in other areas. Her final grade would likely be a 3, but could also be a 4. The teacher would need to be able to justify either grade with specific examples. Discussions relating to art history, culture, criticism, and aesthetics are embedded in lessons throughout the year. This student received a 1 in quarter 1 because his comments in class discussions and reflections seldom showed understanding of these concepts. The teacher provided scaffolding of instruction to gradually build understanding in these areas, and the student earned a 2 in quarter 2 and a 3 in quarters 3 and 4. An upward trend is evident, and the student earned a 3 for the final grade in this area. For art effort, this student earned a 3 in quarter 1 and quarter 2 because he usually participated in class discussions, used time constructively, followed routines, and worked effectively in groups. He earned a 2 in quarters 3 and 4. Note that the student seems to be trending down in demonstrating effort. While he's still sometimes demonstrating this skill, his consistency has diminished. The student receives a final effort mark of 2 based on the downward trend in the teacher's anecdotal record keeping. In this example, the student enrolled in Fairfax County Public Schools in February. For all quarters when the student was either not enrolled or was not taught and assessed, the student receives no marks. In the standard relating to creative process, the student earns a 2 in quarter 3 as she sometimes demonstrates understanding of how to use creative process and needs moderate support in planning and following process steps. She receives a 3 in quarter 4 because she usually demonstrates understanding of the skills and concepts relating to creative process. Her final grade is a 3. In this example, a special needs student participates in art class with her grade level peers, but follows a modified curriculum. She's not assessed on grade level standards in the area of art media and techniques or in the area of art history, culture, criticism, and aesthetics, so she receives an NA on those standards in the progress report. This concludes the module on standards-based grading in elementary art.